thanks for the dinner and for the flowers. I've had a really nice time, and you're a great person and everything, but you're just nothing like your profile picture. Sorry. Hello and welcome to The Fan Show. This month we'll be chatting about those shape-shifting, spaghetti hoop-covered monsters, the Zygons. And that's not all. Ingrid Oliver will be joining us later on the show to chat about all things Osgood. So Luke, Zygons.
Considering like they're so iconic, the Zygons have only appeared 3 times before. So first of all, we had them in Terror of the Zygons in 1975, fourth Doctor story, all set in the Scottish Highlands. And then they didn't appear again until 2013, the 50th anniversary, where they were kind of secondary. They were kind of like a B plot to the story, of which the effects of that we saw in Day of the Doctor we didn't see until the 2-part in 2015 in Series 9 with the 12th Doctor, which was the Zygon invasion and inversion. Amazing, great story.
Yeah.
So it's crazy considering they're such an iconic villain monster, and we've only seen them 3 times.
That's incredible. That's incredible, and I think it's sort of testament to kind of how good they are, a bit like
Totally.
the Weeping Angels.
Yeah.
I actually think they're quite good because they're quite scary. The concept of shape-shifting, I think, is quite scary in that you don't know who to trust, and you can't trust anyone really, because anyone could be a Zygon.
Yeah.
It's how they look, I think, that makes them
Yeah.
so iconic. That look, the spaghetti hoop look, really sort of sticks in your mind. And I just think they're just so weird.
You just look at them and they're alien.
They're alien.
It's
But
like,
they are.
They are. It's so alien.
Because I think some aliens can look like things that we recognise, like animals, or like, I mean, Silurians look like reptiles. It's very clear that they look like reptiles. But Zygons don't look like anything, really, apart from spaghetti hoops. But they look like just aliens, really.
Even like sideways, it's like, who thought that like you'd curl it around and then it would like just be sort of so bulbous? It's just so odd.
And very deep set face. So
Yeah.
from the side, they have a very flat face. It's sort of embedded into their face.
that
Their
big
features are
sort of
embedded.
cone.
Yeah, and then you have this huge thing which sort of towers down on you as they look at you. And in classic Who, they're quite kind of like this. I think the actors, that's sort of how they perform the Zygons.
Yeah.
They're all sort of...
Quite rigid and... But in Terror of the Zygons, are terrifying, aren't they? They're so moody and...
Yeah, and I think it's the shadows that are cast underneath their eyes and under the brow because of that huge... Because I think the classic costumes, they have bigger heads. And the forehead sticks out a little bit more. And so that creates these very dark, hollow sorts of eyes.
Yeah.
And I think their eyes are quite sad. I think that's quite eerie. I think they look sad and lonely.
I think so in the first one. We're watching Terror of the Zygons back. Poor lonely
So
Zygons.
sad and lonely. They
They're
just
so
want a
sad and
home.
lonely. Oh, they do just want a home. They just want a home. They are going around the galaxy looking for properties. They're on like the property search development for...
They're homeless.
They're
homeless aliens.
Poor Zygons. Cut to charity advert for Will You Home a Zygon? Oh. And on that as well, I mean, you've got in Terror of the Zygons the reveal of all of this. The classic monster... we'll see a hand, we'll see a silhouette, we'll see some eyes, lots of like controls and stuff like that. It's all kept back.
I love
it's
that,
all held back until that episode 1 cliffhanger, that amazing
Dun, dun, dun.
Zygon comes out, attacks Sarah, you see the zoom in shot, it's so, here's your alien that you've been waiting for, here's your big reveal. My favourite thing in the recent issue of Doctor Who magazine was that this amazing interview with Tom Baker, and it was referenced. Ben Cook asked him about the Zygon episode, and he went, "Oh yes, that's the one where all the spaceship looked like pizzas." I love that. It is like Zygons just hovering over pizzas. I'm sure somebody could dub in, like a Hawaiian or
like a food machine.
Just a massive pizza ordering machine.
I would like a pepperoni pizza, and then just like twiddling the things, and then bing.
Yeah, twiddling around the bits of pepperoni.
They probably eat pizza and spaghetti hoops.
Definitely.
That's probably
Pizza. Spaghetti hoops on pizza.
You are what you eat.
It's odd because you can kind of see what they've gone for in that you, for some reason, again, I don't know why, but like you look at the outside of the spaceship and it feels like something like, oh, the Zygons look like they built the pyramids, because it kind of had this sort of like primitive architecture to it, but I don't know what it is, but it doesn't blend well, I think, with the organic nature.
It's odd. It's odd.
So it is really odd. You do feel like
Yeah.
it would cut to the outside and the spaceship would just be like a big blob of goo,
Yeah.
and it would just be like blobbing
But
around
then-
in space, like blob, blob, blob.
Blah, blah,
That's
blah,
just
blah.
how I see a Zygon spaceship. I don't see it going. No, it's just a blob.
See, I sort of excuse it for if it was organic, if the exterior was organic, you would just have bits of glue flying off in space.
Yeah,
It'd
yeah.
be blobbing around.
Trails of spaghetti.
And like if you were another ship behind it, you'd be flying along, and then like
there's spaghetti all over your
all
windshield.
over you. It
going,
would
"Oh,
just be like, no one wants that.
Zygon's up front again. Yeah,
Yeah,
just-
exactly.
Yeah, blobbing
So-
around with spaghetti coming off. That's how I see it.
Exactly. So they've probably thought about that. It's probably there's a reason for that
Yeah.
for that exterior.
Yeah. And then after all this technology in the old episodes, the pizzas and the Scarison, then they've sort of taken that forward in the new ones as well. So in Zygon Invasion, Inversion, you end up with when they make copies of the replicas for the Zygons to shapeshift into, they get stored in these sort of like weird things that look like they're grown from the ship, like incubators, sort of more like gooey egg.
Yeah, they do.
The most iconic thing about the Zygons is
It's
that
like-
they can shapeshift into other
Anyone.
humans, other creatures, other things,
Well, even animals, because
anything.
we find out.
And a horse.
They became
Day
in
of the Doctor, yeah.
Day of the Doctor. And that would mean that there's a horse out there somewhere in a Zygon pod, a very big Zygon
Whether
pod.
they have a large one or there's a poor horse just like
Oh,
looking
just
through
a sort of crab.
one eye, looking through the incubator. Oh, poor
thing.
horse.
Free him, free
Free
him.
the horse.
It's a thing that they use to manipulate
Yeah.
and carry out their plans, I guess. And of course, the scariest thing about that is you don't know who to trust. And somebody could be a Zygon that you know, or they could shapeshift into somebody really important, like the Prime Minister,
Yep.
and then just like do whatever they want
Yeah.
and destroy the Earth. And
I
that's
think-
not very good, is it?
It definitely isn't very good. Don't do that at home. Don't become the Prime Minister, take over the country,
Yeah.
be a Zygon, don't do any of
No,
those things.
don't
And-
do that. However, Osgood,
Ah,
she's not like that. She's a good Zygon.
well, I think
duplicate.
she's the real first time, isn't it, that it's established in Day of the Doctor is
Yeah.
not all Zygons are evil, guys,
Exactly.
you know. Not everyone in this one race is the same.
Yeah.
It's so kind of where the Zygons start that story of there are different divisions, there are different people, and
Yeah.
there are people with different beliefs, and that real parallel of Zygons are actually pretty similar to us, and they just want to live here and go about their lives. And Osgood is the real champion
Yeah.
for that, for showing that that there are Zygons who just kind of want peace and want to live their lives. And at the end of Day of the Doctor, you kind of have that beautiful moment, I think, where it's
Yeah.
keep it quiet.
And there's that great bit at the end of the Zygon Inversion where the Doctor says, "So which one are you?" And he desperately wants to know.
Yeah.
And she just says Osgood because
Yeah.
you know to keep the peace, but also because in her mind everyone is equal,
Yeah.
everyone is the same. Speaking of Osgood, we're lucky enough to be joined by Osgood, or Zygon, or Ingrid Oliver. Hi Ingrid,
Hello, Christel.
how are you?
I'm very well, thank you. That was really play school. I don't know why. But hello.
First up, were there any challenges in playing Osgood? And was it outlined in the script which was which, or did you decide?
The challenges of playing Osgood and a Zygon Osgood would literally, I had to learn twice the amount of lines. So that was in itself trickier. And actually, just in terms of filming, we had a body double who would sit next to me when we were doing Osgood scenes where there were two Osgoods. She would have to sort of mime the lines, the other lines, set of lines, because of sound. She wasn't allowed to speak. So there was just a weird scenario where I was speaking and then I could see someone, their lips moving next to me. There was a scene where the two Osgoods are sitting next to each other and they're talking about the Osgood box. So we did it one side, one take with me as one of them. And they had to record the audio. Then I had a little earpiece that fed my original dialogue into my earpiece so I could act with myself. It was a nightmare.
Wow.
In the script, it simply said Osgood 1 and Osgood 2. No, Stephen never said explicitly this is Zygon Osgood and this is not Zygon Osgood, or hybrid Osgood. So I sort of made a choice, but I don't know if it was right.
Are there any tells as to which Osgood is human and which Osgood is Zygon?
Yes, in my head, there are some tells, very small ones. But having said that, it's sort of open to interpretation, because I guess that's the point of the episode.
Yeah.
But in my head, inevitably, there were a couple of little things that I did, because I sort of in my head thought, oh, this is the Zygon.
Yeah.
So I wonder, I don't know if people have noticed it, probably not, because you're asking me that question.
It's interesting, it's one for our viewers in the comments below.
Yes, yeah. The Zygon one strokes her chin a lot.
Ooh.
She does. There is no point. She does.
So what were your first impressions of the Zygons in terms of how they look?
I was surprised at how genuinely quite freaked out I was. They're genuinely quite menacing, or very menacing, even though they're the loveliest man in the world underneath the suits, and very softly spoken, very sweet. It's the little teeth, I think. It's the jaggedy little teeth.
Did you get to touch any of the Zygons on set?
Whenever I could, whenever there was a break, I'd go over and just stick my finger in one of the little suckers.
Amazing.
Because you have to.
Yeah.
Because they're covered in suckers, which is basically, I don't know if that's a technical term.
Spaghetti hoops.
But they are spaghetti hoops. So they're like, the underside of an octopus, just all over their body, and you want to poke it.
If you were a Zygon for the day, who would you shapeshift into?
Beyonce. And do you know what I would do? I would gate crash loads of weddings. I'd just turn up. I'd be like, it's Beyonce. And then I'd sing Crazy in Love, and then I'd get out. Just every guest at that wedding was like, oh my God, Beyonce was at your wedding. This is the best wedding ever. I'd be spreading joy.
Is there anyone out there right now that you think is a Zygon?
I think that there's one very obvious answer. I'm in America at the moment, hence this beautiful office. But he looks like one. He has the same colouring and sort of little lips as well.
Why do you think the Zygons are so popular despite having only one appearance in Classic Who and 2 appearances in New Who?
They're a good combination of like a good old-fashioned classic monster. People like monsters they can touch and they can see, but also they have the psychological element of they can shapeshift, so you're expected to do the rest of the work as well.
What was the fan response like to Osgood?
It's been lovely. It's just been, it's been amazing, really. I still get sent of artwork and things that people have drawn and made, and I find it genuinely quite humbling. As an actor, you do a lot of stuff, and no one watches it, or they do, and they're not that bothered. So to do something that genuinely seems to have, a lot of people it's a very nice feeling. It's lovely.
What would be your fantasy future Osgood storyline?
I mean, she has to get in the TARDIS at some point, doesn't she? I think that would be such a joyous thing to see her basically just the mothership.
Yeah, I think she'd learn so much. I mean, she knows a lot already, but there's just so much more out there, isn't there?
That would be it. It would be the conflict between, oh my God, I'm on the TARDIS right now, and there's some alien technology that needs examining.
Finally, very important question. Be honest. Are you a Zygon?
I killed Ingrid.
Did you?
Well, I didn't. She's in a pod somewhere. I'll get her out later. Let Zygons. I'm not going to say it.
Oh, you started. You're going to have to finish.
Let Zygons.
We'll say it together.
This is what everyone said this on set about 10 times a day. Let Zygons be Zygons.
So beautiful. So beautiful. Well, thank you so much for having a chat with us.
My absolute pleasure. Thank you.
Thank you. That's all we've got time for. We'd love to know what you think about the Zygons, so leave us your thoughts in the comments below.
And if you want to hear more from us and Ingrid, you can listen to our extended podcast over at soundcloud.com/DWTheFanShow and also on iTunes.
Yeah, and of course, a big thanks to Ingrid for joining us. Don't forget to like and subscribe, and we'll see you soon. Bye.
Bye.
Bye.